Hi, I'm Razorfinger and welcome to yet another Small Talk. There are a couple of genres and styles of games that, while I'm very fascinated by, I just don't have the brain power to play them properly, at least on a high competitive level. Some I can think of would be rhythm games, fighting games, and, for the theme of this episode, bullet hells. It's quite memorizing seeing high-level play of something like a Toho game. Bullets fill the entire screen, coming in all sorts of random patterns and directions, all while the player just casually strolls by it, while even trying to come closer to the bullets than he needs to in order to get that disgusting grace bonus. It's awesome. But it takes something I just don't have. I never got past level 5 in Toho Perfect Cherry Blossom, and I've accepted that I never will. Still, I like playing it occasionally. There's a lot of fun to be had in that feeling where, amidst the chaos on the screen, your vision starts to get blurry and you stop thinking about whatever you're doing and just let your ultra instincts take over and control the character without you particularly knowing what you're doing, just that it's working. It feels pretty galaxy-brained. This episode's game is less Toho and more Ikaruga, which I also like and also never finished. I'm talking about Zero Ranger, a great shmup game made by System Erasure, and inspired by not only Japanese shmups like Ikaruga, but also something like a 90s anime vibe from it, which is just great. It's even got a cool anime opening. In Zero Ranger, an alien invasion has happened, deployed by a vessel codenamed Green Orange, which is clever because that's the color palette for the game. That color palette manages to be very visually appealing and nostalgic at the same time. It's an interesting choice that not only serves as a homage to retro shmups and Game Boy games, but also to give clarity to things that are happening on screen. Orange is usually a projectile color, and it contrasts nicely with the green from your ship, so you always know what to look out for. Back in the good old days of the SNES, the amount of stuff on screen got quite chaotic, and we wanted to show off our shiny new graphics cards that supported many colors. Nowadays, if you look at it, it is quite an eyesore, so I appreciate the minimalistic color palette they chose for this game. When it comes to bullet hell games of this style, simplicity is key. And Zero Ranger gets that perfectly. Its style and function perfectly meshed together. Said style not only comes in the visuals, but also in the writing. There's not much dialogue, but the little touches are what impress me. The stage names, the pull codes after you finish a level, the song names. The tutorial song is called Can't We Just Get Over It, and that actually made me chuckle. It's really cool, and the soundtrack is actually great. They get a good Toho-ish vibe in some tracks, such as in the boss music. But there's also some occasional Mega Man vibes going around in some of the levels. Which I love. When it comes to the gameplay, it seems simple enough. We got our regular front fire and two other shot types that vary depending on which one you choose between the two options that appear when you finish the level. Generally speaking, both options are viable and serve somewhat of a similar purpose. The secondary shot has the option for being either a back shot or a diagonal front shot. I stuck most of the time to the back shot as it deals incredible damage at point blank range, and I found it a bit more intuitive to use. Then there's the third shot, that's a bit more situational, but both of them are intended for crowd control, I think. One is a big blast that you have to charge up and can consume projectiles, and the other is multiple homing shots that you have to acquire the targets for before firing. I stuck with the homing shots, but to be honest, I found both shots to be hard to use properly. Maybe because they take some time to charge and the game doesn't give you that much time. It is very fast and you are always dodging. It's quite a brutal game. Jesus, this game is hard. Like it should be. Sorry to be a filthy casual, but thank God for the level select. I know it's against tradition, but personally I appreciate the option. I played the demo version beforehand and they didn't have a level select. It was pretty brutal. I'm thankful that the full game has that option, despite it being fully expected not to have one, considering it's pretty much a genre staple. Also, before moving on, I like to say that this is the first actually released game I'm covering on the series. All the other games were demos of upcoming games. This one I bought with my own money, and I'm actually kinda proud. Anyway, back to the game. It's a hard game, but it's not unfair. They give you all the tools you need to deal with the challenges they throw at you, especially if you've mastered the different shot types and when to use them. I very much enjoy how they managed to take me away from the bottom of the screen with things like the back shots or enemy formations that come from behind. There's even a moment at the second level where you move horizontally instead of vertically, throwing a curveball in just to break up the pace. And speaking of curveballs, now I'm gonna talk about some spoilers. It happens by the end of level 3, so it's not the biggest spoiler, but here's a warning nonetheless. Anyways, by the end of chapter 3, we unexpectedly get a Sailor Moon-esque magical girl transformation. All of a sudden, we are a badass sword-wielding lady whose hair glows when we charge up our moves. Also, we're doing melee combat now, boys. It's quite an intense sequence, beautifully animated with an amazing soundtrack. The melee attacks are awesome and feel great to use, even though I personally think it actually made the game harder having to get close to enemies. It's quite an ordeal considering how many projectiles there are on screen at any given moment. It deals heavy damage though, so battles don't take very long. It's quite a glass cannon playstyle, and I love it. And that's not even all of it. I'm sure there are even more curveballs to be thrown and stylishly animated moments in the rest of the game. And you should definitely check these out for yourself. The game is up on Steam and is worth every cent of the mere $10 it took me to buy it. Can't recommend it more. Anyway, that was it. Thanks for watching.